All right, so the first question was need to be protected, and what I mean by that is that whether someone marries someone of the same sex, different religions, different races, whatever, there should be no discrimination against them, so that they have the same rights when it comes to inheritance, same rights when it comes to taxes, same rights when it comes to those things. I like the idea of a partnership or an agreement. I think marriage, from what my belief is that comes from the church. So I want them to have the same rights as married people would, but it's a different definition. I look at it as semantics. I think marriage is something that you do as defined by what's in the Bible, and it's between man and woman according to what it's there, and that's how I grew up. That doesn't mean that I don't think they should be. It's just a different definition. So I have many associates that are quote unquote couples that have civil ceremonies, but and they don't. And whether you call it I don't really necessarily call it a marriage, but they should be protected. They should have the same rights that a heterosexual couple would have, no matter what. Okay. Do I think it's a privilege or a right?
Yes.
So I think the rights that we have, I don't think it's either. There's a privilege means that something that you can take away, a right you can't take away. So I don't think it would call it a privilege. I think that their rights as citizens, their rights to the same protection of the law is there, and it should be the same for them. Different states are calling it different things and are saying, well, yes, you can have a same-sex marriage, which is fine. That's what the state decides to do. My personal belief is that it should be a partnership, that if they decide to, after they've been together for many years, get a quote-unquote divorce, that there should be distribution of the properties. If somebody stays home and is a homemaker, raises the children or whatever, they should be able to get alimony paid just as if it was a male and a female couple in the same situation. So I look at the law differently. I study the Constitution. There's a privilege I can take away, okay? A right I can't take away, and the right's defined by what the Constitution and the law say.
I think same-sex marriage is fantastic. I think it should be approved everywhere, in state and federal. I think that regardless of your sex, your gender, you should have the right to marry who you want to marry, no matter what.
What are your views on same-sex marriage?
My views on same-sex marriage have changed over the years, and I think that has a lot to do with the aging process and maturing and getting perspectives from other people. Almost as much as 15, 20 years ago, I was against same-sex marriage. However, today, in the year 2015, I have to say that my views have shifted 180 degrees, and I've seen the logic that equality has to be universally applied to everyone, regardless of sex, religion, skin color. So same-sex marriage is a critically important part of who we are as Americans.
Okay. Do you think same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
If we believe that America is built on the principles of equality, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then I think inherently we have to believe that issues like marriage or race or religion have to also be part of the equality of who we are as Americans. So it is a right. And I think that if you were to go deep into what the Constitution says, it does say that we have equal right to marriage. So I would say that it is a legal right. Same-sex marriage is a legal right.
What are your views on same-sex marriage?
I strongly support same-sex marriage. I don't think that you decide who you love. I think it's something you don't control, and whether or not that is a man or a woman, you should be respecting that.
Okay, do you feel that same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
I definitely believe that same-sex marriage is a right, because we wouldn't question when a man and a woman get married, and I don't see the difference.
Same-sex marriage.
I would have to say, me personally, I believe that same-sex marriage should be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
I think it should be a right for anyone.
Okay, thank you.
What are your views on same-sex marriage?
In my opinion, I think same-sex marriage shouldn't be a thing.
Okay. Do you think same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
And I think it's a privilege.
Thank you. What are your views on same-sex marriage?
I think same-sex marriage should be allowed in every state.
Do you think same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
It's a right.
Thank you. What are your views on same-sex marriage?
I fully support same-sex marriage. I believe all people have a right to marry whoever they want.
Do you feel that same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
It's a privilege. I think people have the option to marry a member of their same sex, but it's not a right. I think it's a privilege given to people that want to take it.
I'm not a big supporter of it, but I think that it's not something wrong. It's something that somebody has to feel.
Okay. Do you think same-sex marriage is a privilege or a right?
I believe that it's a privilege because it's not something that has to be done or has to be agreed with. I think everybody should have their own opinion on it.